All right, we are going to do a tutorial on how to use the gradebook portion of Family Access in Skyward. The first thing to know is that if you have multiple children in the district, you're going to want to come up to this corner here, and there will be a drop-down menu where you can select from your different children to view their individual gradebooks. And then along the side, you will probably see far more options in this, but you are going to want to find the gradebook option. Once you are in the gradebook option, there's a few things to know about the display options first. If you click on display options, you will see some various ways to see the information that's entered. One thing to know is you can look at just the current grades only. So if looking at this grade out term 1 and everything else is a little bit too much on one page, you can always click on show current grades only and it will just bring up what is current. You will notice that the current term will be copied over to the future terms as well because of the way the gradebook is set up to be year-round for middle school and elementary and semester for high school. I'm going to go back. I'm going to change it to view all again. And another thing to know is that if you like to see it collapsed like this, you can use the arrows as drop downs, and I will show that in just a moment. But if you would rather not need to use the arrows for drop down menus, you can actually come here and you can choose to see the subjects, the skills within those subjects, or the events. So if I click on show skills, that will allow me to see all of the pillars for each individual subject here. So for example, I can see how my student is doing in inquiry, communication, and sourcing and claims. This would let me know that this area would probably be somewhere that needs to be a focus for my student, and I could always contact the teacher for more information or look into those events. You can also go in and you can have it show all events. That is going to be a pretty long list, so I would not necessarily suggest that, but that option is there. Okay, so if I go back and start with just subjects, I can view individual grades on assignments by going into, let's use English Language Arts, and I can use my drop-down arrow. From there, I can see either the ELA 7 Pillar Standards or the Citizenship Skills. So if I use my drop-down again, that will expand my pillars, and I can see where my student needs the most work. So writing is at approaching. Actually, in this particular term, we're looking at term 2 because that is the current term. That's always going to be that first yellow one. We're at a beginning overall, so this is a class that needs a little bit of work. And we're going to go down, and I notice right away that the writing pillar has a 0, which means no evidence. So if I want to see what's happening within that pillar, I'm going to use my drop-down arrow again, and I can see that the student did not get a score or was at no evidence for that. So that's going to be the point where you would probably want to either contact that teacher, or you can go and view all of the events in a little bit of a different way where you can actually see comments on there if any were left. You can do this for any of the pillars where you just expand them, see what scores were given on individual events. Usually that 0 is going to mean that it was not submitted. You can also go down and expand the citizenship skills, which will show you the behavior that your student is displaying in class. So if I wanted to go to the area where I could see the comments that were left, I'm going to go all the way back up to this English Language Arts 7. And if I come over to the current score and I hover over it, this one is going to allow me to click on it. When I click on it, I am going to get a window that looks like this. And if I press on show events, I can also see all of the events that were turned in or graded here. Now, I can notice that these 2 that were 0s have a comment on them because of that little bubble over to the side. And if I view this lets me know that it needs to be finished and submitted from the teacher. So I can contact the teacher, see what is happening, or talk to my student about that as well. There's also a missing check mark, which lets me know that it is still missing. I can also see that all formative work has a form before it for this particular teacher, but also has no count selected, showing that that is not counting toward their grade. If you do have any questions, I would urge you to send an email or call the teacher where the grades are in question to find out more information. If you have a high school student, you will see just one thing that will be a little bit different. You will see this shown with an A, B, C, D, or F. That grade is actually configured by utilizing the same pillars with the 1, 2s, or 3s, which mean beginning, approaching, and proficient. And there's actually a conversion that takes place from this score that would be the overall grade to translate into that letter grade. So that's really the only difference for high school. High school is also on semesters, so you will see that once the semester is closed and it's into second semester, those are the grades that are currently being worked on.